Welcome to Ambleside Flourish, brought to you by Ambleside Schools International, with Dr. Bill St. Cyr, Executive Director of Ambleside Schools International, hosted by Ambleside Schools of Colorado.
Modern technologies propagate a value system. Winners win and losers lose. But is that a true statement? Is the purpose of life to make it to the 1%? Or would I rather have my child be a neurotic, performance-driven member of the 1%, or totally average in lifestyle, but knows how to love his spouse, care for his children, enjoys that which is good, true, and beautiful, has a rich relationship with ideas and books, has many friends, and is a blessing to everyone in the neighborhood? Oh, quote, winner, or one rich in the relational life? Two different value systems. Which do you want for your child? The world's going to say one thing to pursue. How strong will your voice be in countering it? Second, and again, this is a value that's propagated. Pain is to be avoided, pleasure maximized. Is that true? Is that true? Are there hard things worth doing? Is it always better to make the struggle easier? What happens when a school district endeavors to take all the struggle out of education? So we say, you don't have to learn your math facts anymore. You don't have to learn how to write. You can use a calculator, because then it'll be easy. And it doesn't really. What happens when we take away the struggle? We get very different kinds of people. And we get children who really cannot deal with adversity. And you remember the wonderful movie, The Princess Bride, and Wesley's great line, "Princess life is pain. Anyone who tells you something else is selling something." There's a lot of truth to that. Now, there's much more than pain. But pain has its function, and pain is not bad. Evil is evil. Pain is not evil. But if you don't know how to deal with pain, if you don't know how to struggle well, if any adversity overwhelms you, how will it be different for our children? How will they be able to suffer well and stay on task and do the hard thing? Well, it's all in your court. At Ambleside, we'll help. But if you're not doing the hard stuff and making them do the hard stuff, that is the only way they will learn to do the hard thing. Once upon a time, life was such that you could not live without doing the hard thing. I mean, you had to get up, go outside in the snow and rain and cut the wood, or there was going to be no breakfast. Technology has taken so much of the discomfort out of life. And I'm not saying that's all bad. But we often don't think about the consequences. I mean, I saw a sociological study on the effect of air conditioning on life in the South, in the urban South. Totally changed everything. Because before air conditioning, and particularly before air conditioning and television, everybody was on their front porch. So everybody knew everybody on the street. So tell me, like I live in Virginia, it gets hot in July and August in Northern Virginia. But I think if we could make the trade and do away with air conditioning, but in return, everybody throughout June, July, and August was on their front porch so that everybody along the street knew each other, I'd make that trade. I'd make that trade. Last weekend, Mary Ellen and I were out working in the front yard. Across the street, for the first time, we saw our new neighbors. They moved in 9 months ago. We had never seen them. So, of course, we went over and introduced ourselves and said, they didn't know a single person on the street. And they were there for 9 months. That wouldn't happen if we didn't have air conditioning. Is air conditioning evil? No, but get the trade-offs and how it shapes our relational lives, and what are we going to do? And here's where I'm coming to. And this is my chief concern in terms of the soft impact of our technologies, and it's the way they marginalize relationships. Our technologies have transformed our relational lives in ways that have impoverished them. You know, relationships are hard. Facebook friends are not. That's why countless junior high students, high school students, have traded Facebook, Instagram friends for real friends, because real friends are work. So that's why, a couple of my younger sisters or younger siblings were teachers at the high school that I went to, large 2,000 student public high school. So I said, now, I'm the oldest of a dozen. My youngest sister's 26 years younger than I am. So I was having breakfast with my sister, my brother, and my sister-in-law, all three who were teachers at this high school. And I said, you're a teacher in there now. 10 years ago, you were students there. 35 years ago, I was a student there. How's it changed? What's the biggest change you've seen since you were a student there? All three said it's real easy. Technology has totally transformed relationships. One of them, my sister-in-law said, I'm a teacher. I've got students. They will not raise their hand and ask me a question. They will text me in class what their question is. My brother said, you remember the courtyards? We'd all, you had your group of friends, you'd be in one courtyard and other people. He said, everybody's still there. They're all sitting in the courtyards. But instead of talking to each other, everybody's texting people 20 feet or 50 yards or 150 yards away. Nobody's talking to anybody. Technology impacting marginalizing the relational life. And it affects us. What does our fetish for scheduling do to our relational lives? It's a totally different thing. If I go home, if I spend a Saturday, Sunday afternoon, and I say, family, we are together. Everybody take off your watches. We're just together for the day. The marginalization of relationships completely contrary to the gospel ethic of love. We're losing touch with each other. We're becoming thinner and thinner to one another. And particularly true of the next generation. Facebook friends replace real relationships. So, what's a parent to do? Well, what do you want? That's going to determine the answer. What do you want for your child? Do you want a rich relational life, or do you want an efficient, manicured life that maximizes the possibility of being a winner and minimizes pain? Although we kind of get that those two things don't quite go together, but we try. What do you do? Well, again, first, be the parent. Think, reflect, take charge. Reestablish the primacy of healthy relationships with wife, children, other persons, nature, ideas of God. The primacy of the relational life, not the technological life. So here's some ideas how to do that. Warning, these might sound radical. And I'm not saying become an Amish. How do you like this one? When home, turn off all cell phones at 6. Limit everything to the landline. Anybody who might need to call you. I mean, what, landlines, if you got internet, cost maybe $20 most a month. Turn off all the phones. I mean, powered down. At 6 o'clock every day. Tell your coworkers, tell your friends, tell anybody, tell your in-laws, tell your family. If it's an emergency, here's the phone number. Make your 13-year-old daughter's friends, if they want to talk to her, call the landline where you get to pick up. I mean, just think what that might do to the relational dynamics in your home. Just a thought. Turn off the phone at home and send everybody to the landline. Then you might actually have to be together and be relational. If it's an emergency, they can still get a hold of you. And if one of your sons or daughter's friends wants to talk to them, you get to pick up the phone. They have to talk to you first. That's really huge. Strictly limit screen time for everybody. You have no credibility if you limit it for your teenagers, but not for you. Not because all screens are evil, but because they are seductive and tend to overwhelm the more relational, life-giving satisfactions. It's just too easy to turn on a screen, particularly Friday evenings, when you're tired and it's the end of the week and you feel like and then you sit there for 3 hours and watch whatever. And let me tell you, at the end of that 3 hours, you're not more refreshed. And you don't have a better relationship with your wife and children. If you're that tired, go to bed. I mean, if you're too tired to sit and work a puzzle. Do you know Liberty Puzzles? They're just up the road. Totally cool. I mean, they're these beautiful, about half-inch wooden puzzles, laser cut, and they're done with great works of art. Mary Ellen and I have 7 of them. So it's like the School of Raphael's School of Athens, or it's really beautiful, and it's actually a whole lot of fun to sit together and relaxing and do puzzles together. But notice how the difference in the relational life, if you're with your children doing a puzzle versus sitting together in front of a screen. Chances are you'll go to bed saying, gee, that was a good time, glad I did that. You know, when I turn on the TV on Friday night, I never go to bed saying, gee, I'm glad I spent the last 3 hours doing that. I never do. Limit child activities that tend to dominate family life. If your family runs itself around the, quote, child activities, sports is probably the number one. Let me tell you what you communicate to your children. Sports is more important than family. If your family runs around sports, there is no way that your children believe that somehow you and time with their siblings is more important than sports. Why? Because you're teaching them that what life revolves around is sports. Now, I like sports. I'm not against sports. But I'm saying if that's what dominates and controls your schedule, that's what your children will believe is most important. And they will believe that their teammates are more important than you are. They will not translate it, see how much Dad loves me. He lets me spend 5 days a week, 15 hours a week on the soccer field. See how much? No, they'll think, boy, this is what's really important. Dad and Mom believe this is what's really important about life. Not time with family. This is what's really important about life. Because why else would they have me investing this much of it? I would suggest that you reserve at least 2 weekdays and 1 weekend day to live by relationships, not a schedule. At least, I'm only saying 2 weekdays. Now that does say to some sporting events that want you there every day, you're just not going to do it. Because we got 2 days plus at least 1 weekday where nobody schedules anything because we're family. And family is more important than all this other stuff. Because relationships are more important than all this other stuff. Another suggestion, fire the lawn service. Establish Saturday morning as chore time. If not Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, but somewhere on the weekend, put in 2 hours where everybody in the family works together. We do the yard, we plant the garden, we take care, we do the chores, we mop the floors, but everybody in the family works together for 2 hours, side by side. Non-negotiable, it's what we do. Because that teaches work matters, work's important, sweat's good. Do you know sweat's good? Fire the lawn service. You need to work side by side with your sons and daughters. Regularly fast from digital technology. A day, a weekend, a week. See what happens. All technology, every screen turned off all day long on a Saturday. Better yet, for the weekend. Maybe if you're really bold, the whole week, and see what happens. If you get serious withdrawal, you'll likely get serious withdrawal symptoms the first couple of days. But by the end of the week, everybody's probably being nicer to each other and likes each other more. Now, here's the really radical one. Everyone stay home and turn off the electricity for the weekend. See what happens. Just all the electricity. turned off at the main breaker on the house for the weekend. And everybody stays home, in a home with no electricity. And see what happens relationally. Well, the mission of Ambleside Schools is to foster a healthy relational life, optimal relations with God, self, others, creations, ideas. And I hope some of these ideas help you along that way. God bless.
Ambleside Schools International fosters an educational renewal based upon the pedagogical insights of British educator Charlotte Mason. Serving an international community of parents, teachers, and schools, Ambleside makes a living education accessible to all. A living education empowers students to live lives rich in relationship to God, self, others, ideas, work, and creation. For additional information regarding Ambleside Schools International and training opportunities for principals, teachers, and parents, please visit our website at amblesidschools.com.